I'm here in the United Sports Training Center with Eric Mitchell, who is the owner-operator of Parisi Speed School in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. And Eric, what is some experience you've had with athletes in training?
Kieran, my history starts back all the way back to 1989. I was a collegiate athlete in football and track, and decided to get into coaching after college ended. And what I did was I went to Upper Darby High School and actually pitched to become the sprint coach at Upper Darby High School. From there, started a personal training career, trained my own athletes, trained personal training clients as well, and came upon the Parisi Speed School. Was approached by Bill Parisi back in 2005 to buy a franchise. And it was the right fit, the right timing for it all. Sports performance was really in its infancy and really starting to grow nationally. And it was just the right feel, the right fit. Purchased a franchise, came into the United Center, started training athletes to be better from all levels, from 7 to the professional ranks.
Okay, now starting with the warm-up, what are some things that you're supposed to be doing to get ready for a competition or for a workout?
Sure, I think that it goes back to this. The old standard was this, that athletes would be told by their coaches to jog a lap, and then they would stretch statically, and then they would go into dynamic movement for athletics. The problem with that is what you're telling the system, the mind-body system to do, is to start up, shut down, and start back up again. What we've done is we've taken that static element out of the stretching right after the warm-up part, gone right into a full dynamic warm-up. Think about it like this, Kieran. Movement's the basis of all sports. So you want an athlete moving through a full range of motion before their competition, rather than standing and finding out how they stretch. I always say this, no one ever died from a tight hamstring. There are some very powerful, explosive athletes who are not going to be able to touch their toes, but they move through incredibly explosive ranges of motion during movement in sport. So that dynamic warm-up that we have really pioneered has really made a difference for athletes and how to get them moving to prep for sport.
All right, so what's the first thing we need to do to get started?
First thing you do is you're going to remove your shoes.
Remove my shoes?
Yes. I want you to think about this. There are small muscle groups in your feet that are really neglected athletically because we are always wearing shoes. So I want you guys to think about this. This country alone, we have the highest incidence of lower leg and foot injuries of any country in the world. And what's been tied to is the fact that we are so dependent on shoes that the musculature of the feet, the mobility of the ankle joint has been affected by that. Think about this, 25% of every joint in your body is located in your foot. So you have to think about that. And now if we strengthen that range of motion right away, we're going to make you a better athlete.
All right, the shoes are now off, so now we get started with the warm-up. And you were telling me that there's 3 parts to warming up?
3 separate phases. There's a stationary phase, then there's a muscle activation phase, and then there's a movement phase. And we incorporate those all into the actual active dynamic warm-up. The first thing that you want to do is you want to get into what we call a prisoner squat position. So Kieran, I'm going to actually have you on the line facing me. So feet are going to be shoulder length apart, hands are going to be behind the head, you're going to clasp them just like this, pull your shoulder blades back. We're going to be going into what we believe is the foundation for all sport, which is a prisoner squat. And the motion's going to look like this, and it'll be on my count. It's going to be 10 reps of a prisoner squat, dropping down, dropping the body down just like that. Now, Kieran, what I want you to do on the last rep, the 10th rep, you're going to drop down with your arms at 90 degrees, and you're going to sit in this position for me, okay? All right, here we go.
All right,
ready?
Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Drop down, arms at 90, pull them in. Good. Stay focused. Perfect. Now we're going to do a seal jack, and the idea is to get the athlete in through movement, get the athlete's body moving through all ranges of motion, and we're actually going to push off the front half of the foot, which is the strongest part of the foot. Not the toe, not the heel, but the front half of the foot, which will engage his posterior chain, which is so critically important as an athlete. Kieran, what you're going to do is you're going to bring your feet together, you're going to have your hands up just like this at shoulder level. You're going to push off the front half of the foot like I had said, and you're going to bring your arms all the way out, snap them all the way back in on my count. Ready?
Sounds good to me.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Excellent. Outstanding. Outstanding. You're going to be back on the line again. Hands are going to be up. Again, you're going to be pushing off the front half of your foot. So what's going to look like is this. You're going to be a human pogo stick. The quicker your arms move, the quicker your feet are going to move through this range of motion here. Now, when I say stop, I'm going to have you drop back down into your square D cell, so it'll look like this. When I say stop, drop back down with your arms at 90 degrees, still balancing on the front half of the foot. All right, ready? And go. Remember, quicker the arms move, quicker the feet move. Good, good, good. Hold.
So then the second phase you said is muscle activation.
Correct.
So how do we get started with that?
So the idea is that I want you to think about, a lot of times in warm-ups, you'll see athletes kind of mindlessly doing things. And as a coach, it's our job to really get the athletes to understand why they're doing something. So there's purpose-driven motions that they do in the warm-up as well. So the first thing we're going to do is a bridging motion on the ground. So the idea is this. Athlete is going to drop to the ground. Toes are going to be up, heel is planted into the ground. Toe up position is really critical for running. The toe up, we have a saying, toe up means speed up, toe down means slow down. With the toe up, you're engaging all the muscles that you need for speed. We say it's the muscles you can't see in the mirror when you're looking at yourself, but they're the most important ones. Calf, hamstring, glute, low back, mid back. When you're doing a bridging motion, the idea is going to be this. The athlete's going to be here. As a coach, you're going to have them come up. They're going to contract the hamstring and the glute on a 1 count, and they do not come down until you say down. So it's not just bringing the hips up. They are literally bringing it up and contracting through the muscle group that they need for speed. And that's what you're going to do next. So what I want you to remember is head is down, heels are planted, toe is up. When I say 1, you're going to come up and contract your hamstring and your glute, and then you're going to hold it there until I say down. And when I say down, then you can bring it down, but do not let your hips or glutes hit the ground until that.
All right, you got it.
All right, ready? 1, down. 2, down. 3, down. 4, down. 5, down. 6, down. 7, down. 8, down. 9, down. 10, and down. So next, Kieran, we're going to go into a really unique motion called a scorpion. And the idea is now to stimulate the hip, the low back, the glutes, and really everything like we said in the posterior chain. But it is one that actually gets athletes a little bit confused. And I've seen athletes as young as 7, all the way up to professional athletes that are baffled by this exercise. But when they get it, they're going to really understand what the purpose is behind this exercise.
All right, so am I back on the ground again?
You're back on the ground
again.
All right,
here we go.
On your stomach, facing me. Now I'm going to demonstrate first because I want you to see it. So it's going to look like this. My arms are going to be out, my palms are down, my toes are flexed. I want you all to remember that it's the toe up position that's important. That toe up position, remember, indicates power and speed. So the first movement through this exercise, I'm going to take my left leg. My left heel is going to end up over by my right hand. So it looks like this. I bring the leg up and over. My hip actually comes off the ground. Now you'll see my heel is touching. That is because my toe is in an up position. I don't want to flex down like that because then what I'm really doing is then slowing my body down once I would think about running. So I'm here. I immediately transfer my energy from that left leg and left hip to the right leg and right hip and bring it across just like that. And then I return it and go to the other side as well. And the alternating motion, it's 5 on each side, each time bringing the hip up and over. We ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right, hands out, palms down. Your toes are flexed towards you. You're going to be bringing that left heel up and over towards that right hand. Remember to rotate the hip as well. And then we'll alternate to the other side. Ready? Go. 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 5. And another exercise in the second phase, in the muscle activation phase, is a rollover series. Now, what usually happens is athletes, this is the static stretch that you'll see an athlete do right here. But what we're going to do is make it active and explosive. So now, just sitting there like that, you see the static stretch. But now what we're going to do is make it active and explosive. So the athlete's going to go back just like this. They're going to grip their knees, pull their toes up just like this. The heel is planted. They are going to physically roll back and explode out to the left. Then they grip again, roll back, explode out to the right. Then they're going to go back and explode down the center. And I want you to think about this. That toe-up position is critical each time. And it doesn't matter if they go right, left, center, or left, right, center. I go left, right, center. I'm left-handed, so I'm going to go to my left side as well. But I want you to think about this, really important, because here's what's going to happen a lot of times. Athletes will do this. They'll roll the leg out, and then they'll reach with one hand. And you want to always think about encouraging movement through full ranges of motion. So if an athlete's going to go back and explode out, they're going to reach with both. It does not have to, they don't have to touch their toes. That's not what it's about. Like I said, we have a lot of really great, explosive, fast athletes who can't touch their toes. But as a coach, it's an assessment tool to see where an athlete is, whether their deficiencies are in movement. And that's the key. Remember, I want you to start to think about this. Movement is the most important part of sport. Movement is the most important thing because that's what they're doing. They're moving. And if we can get their bodies moving through better ranges of motion, then that's going to make them a better athlete. That's why you're doing this warm-up.
Okay, sounds good to me. All right, so the V-sits, right?
So the V-sits.
All right, here we go.
So an athlete can go from 3 to 5 rounds on this. We're going to do 3 today just to get you to have a feel for this motion. So it's going to be on your count. It's going to be left, right, center, or right, left, center. Each time you go down the center, though, that counts as 1 round. We're going to do 3 rounds, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Good. Now reach through the turf for me. Good. Now reach through the turf on the V-sit. Excellent.
Yeah.
So Kieran, now we're going to go into the movement phase, which is the last phase before the athlete gets into either their workout or the competition that they're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is a front skip. Now this is the one that gets a lot of athletes because it's the coordination of the body now. And again, as a coach, you can see mechanically what deficiencies an athlete has, what the things that they need to work on. And that's why this dynamic warm-up is so critical, is that it's not just a warm-up. So the athlete's up on the line, their arms are at 90 degrees, they stand tall, good position of power. They're going to go opposite arm, opposite leg, and that's the relationship you're going to do when you run, obviously. So what's going to happen is they're going to go about 5 yards to 10 yards with a skipping motion, and it's going to look just like this, Kieran, here. The skip is here. It's more for quickness than for anything else. The toe is up. When they finish, they always drop into either a square decel or a split decel for position of power. What you're going to do, Kieran, is you're going to stand tall with your arms at 90 degrees. That's a really important number to remember from now on. Arms at 90, you're going to go opposite arm, opposite leg. Make sure that you go about 5 yards in. You're going to stop in either a square decel or a split decel. Ready? And go. And break down. Hold. Now I see Kieran's a basketball player, so he's going to go up in that mechanical motion, which is fine with me. But it always will track back to that position of power. Arms are going to be at 90 degrees.
Now, you suggest, like, for basketball players
Sure.
or football players, that they get in some kind of different stance, like, as they're finishing that drill. Like, obviously, a basketball player is going to get in a defensive stance. Is that okay? Then you're saying that?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think, but it all tracks back to the, if they do that, they have to be cognizant of the fact that they want to get their arms back to 90 degrees. So they can do it as specific as they want, but we'll always track it back. A baseball player will actually look like they're receiving a ball on the ground. They'll come back up into that position just to keep stability. And position of power is so critically important from our perspective, from a Parisi perspective, and really athletically, it would translate into it. As an athlete, you want to be in your position of power at all times. The next exercise, Kieran, is going to be a quick foot motion. Now, there's a lot of confusion in sports and from coaches and from athletes about what quick feet should look like. The standard is this. I'm just going to show you what we don't teach. A lot of athletes will line up, they'll sink down like this, and they look like this. Well, that's really not conducive to being athletic and moving linearly. So the way that we do it is really mechanically based, and sound principles are behind it. So the athlete's actually going to stand here, tall, hands are going to start, arms are going to start at 90, then they bring the hands back. Now they're going to go ankle over ankle actually when they do a quick foot motion. It's a short, quick motion. Quicker the arm drive is, the quicker the feet are. Now I want you to think about this from now on. Your legs are the engine, your arms are the ignition. The quicker the arms move, the quicker the feet are going to move. So the motion will end up looking like this. Quick feet, quick arms. Quick, quick, quick. The athlete will either go into a square decel or a split decel at the end. But it is a very short range of motion, no more than 5 yards on that drill. Ready? And go. Quick, 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 quick. Outstanding.
So we're finished the warm-up, we're finished our workout, and you were telling me as I walked in through the door that the recovery is just as important as warming up. Why is that?
Sure. Well, I mean, you have to think about this. All gains are made in recovery. Recovery literally starts after the athlete has finished either the competition or they've finished their workout. So how important that is, pretty important. I would say that that's when we start talking about the cool down phase, where an athlete will jog to cool their body down, or they'll ride a bike at a low level. They'll go out for a walk at a lower level. Then they start their static stretching. Not only with static stretching, though, athletes can foam roll as well. An athlete can do a lot of different things to get themselves, to get their body to shut down. Because now's the time, once they've finished, neuromuscularly, so their brain and their body have to work together to shut down simultaneously so that they can come down off of that and recover. We often have this. A lot of athletes don't recover. They don't take the time. Here's what they normally do, Kieran. They will finish a workout and then they are out the door. Not here. And we really encourage this. And you'll see our athletes, when they leave here, They'll even go to competitions, and you'll see them doing the dynamic warm-up. You'll see them doing the static stretching. You'll see them pull out the foam roll or the tiger stick to get their muscles loose and ready for the next time that they have to do a workout. Remember, recovery is really, really, in reality, the most important part of your workout. You will make the most gains in strength and speed and power if you recover and rest. So those things are involved heavily after the workout and after the competition.
So you brought up static stretching. What are some examples of that?
So these are classic examples. Static stretching, for instance, a quad stretch. So Kieran, I'm going to have you grab with your right arm. You're going to go with your right leg. I want you to grab around the ankle joint, not the foot. And I want you to keep that quad in tight to the other leg. And I want you to pull back. The key is that if you don't feel that, like I said, push the hips forward. You'll get a little bit more of a stretch in through that range of motion if you have a tremendous amount of quad flexibility already. So in the last stretch we're going to go through really has multiple purposes. You're going to stretch in through your hip flexor, your low back, up through your abdominal wall as well. And what that looks like is this. The athlete's going to go down on the ground now. And what they're going to do is they're going to drop their knee into a fixed surface. The elbow is in. They're going to drop this toe back. Now, if you look, this kind of goes against our principle of toe up. But I'm going to get the maximum amount of stretch in through my hip flexor when I do this exercise here. I'm also going to get some soleus as well in through the calf region. And what I want to do is I'll lean in just like that, pressing the knee into the wall. I'm going to hold that for about a 10 count. Then I'm going to roll my torso back. And like I said, you're going to get a little bit more stretch in through the hip flexor and also in through the abdominal wall as well. So now what, Kieran, you're going to do is you're going to push your knee into the wall, elbows in. You're going to stretch that foot out. Good. And now I'm going to have you hold there for 10, and then I'm going to have you pull your shoulder blades back and lean back through that range of motion and stretch a little bit more in through that hip flexor. And also you're getting some reaction in the foot. Obviously you can't stretch a tendon, but the soleus around that tendon, that you're going to be able to get some more range of motion out of that. So now you're going to pull the shoulder blades back and extend. You probably feel that. That's good.
That does feel good. I cannot lie.
Excellent stretch.
So now we've learned how to properly warm up, stretch, and recover after a workout. Eric, I want to thank you so much for taking time to work with me today.
My pleasure, absolutely, Kieran.
Inside the United Sports Training Center, I'm Kieran McCauley, inside the Athletic Grind.